Raju and Kumar have money in the ratio of 2:1. If Raju gives $24 to Kumar, the money will be in the ratio of 1:1. What were the initial amounts they had separately? The ratio of money between Raj and Kumar is given as 2:1, and in order to find out the original values, we can multiply it by a factor A with both the ratio parts. So the amount which Raj is having can be assumed as 2A, and the amount which Kumar is having can be assumed as 1A, right? Now what is happening? Raju is giving $24 to Kumar, which means we need to remove $24 from Raj's money, and that 24 is being transferred to Kumar. So we need to add 24 here, right? So now the money between them is going to be in the ratio of 2A minus 24 is to A plus 24, right? And now they're given that after this transaction, the money is in the ratio of 1:1, which means the money has become equal. So we can assume that this ratio is equivalent to 1:1, right? We know that we can rewrite ratios in the form of fractions. So let's do that. So 2A minus 24 divided by A plus 24 is equivalent to 1/1, right? Now cross multiply on both sides. So we'll be getting 2A minus 24 is equivalent to A plus 24. Now if we try simplifying, we'll be probably getting A is equivalent to 48. So the common multiplication factor is 48. Now what is the question? What were their initial amount they had separately? So which was assumed as 2A and A, right? So the money which Raju was having was 2 times 48, and that is equivalent to $96. What about Kumar? Kumar is having just A amount of money, and that is equivalent to $48. Now let's solve the same question by using a different approach, and let's try saving some good amount of time. The ratio of money between Raju and Kumar is given as 2:1, right? Now Raju is giving $24 to Kumar, which means we need to remove $24 from Raju's money, and we need to add $24 to Kumar's money, right? And because of this transaction, the ratio between Raju and Kumar's money becomes 1:1. Now we can clearly see that this transaction which is done is different, right? It's not the same transaction which is happening in both the cases. In the first person's amount, we are removing 24, and in the second person's amount, we are increasing 24, right? In such cases, we'll have to make sure that the horizontal parts in the ratios are equal before and after the transaction, right? So here, before the transaction, the total number of parts is 3, and after the transaction, the total number of parts becomes 2. So how to equalize them? Very simple. We can multiply this factor over here, and we can multiply this factor over here, right? So we'll have to multiply 2 with the first set of ratios, which means we'll be getting 4:2, right? And we'll have to multiply 3 with the second set of ratios, and that should give us 3:3, right? Now if we look into the ratios, it's very clear that from Raju's money, one part is reduced, and in Kumar's money, one part is increased, right? And also the total number of parts is equivalent to 6 horizontally in both the transactions. Now what we can assume? One part of this money change is equivalent to the $24, right? And now what is the question? What were the initial amounts they had separately? So Raju is having 4 parts of the money, and Kumar is having 2 parts of the money, right? So if one part is 24, 4 parts of the money will be 4 times 24, which is equivalent to $96. So Raju is initially having $96. And what about Kumar? Kumar is initially having 2 parts of the money. So 2 times 24, that is equivalent to $48. So the initial amount which Raju had was $96, and the initial amount which Kumar had was $48. That's it.